was a bright, clear Tuesday morning in New York City, September 11, 2001. No one could have imagined that within hours the world would change forever.
Four planes hijacked, two towers are gone. Nearly 3,000 lives were lost. Today, we're revisiting that day, not through headlines, but through stories of courage, loss, and unity.
Not through headlines, but through human stories and how it reshaped everything we know.
This isn't politics, it's remembrance and reflection on the day that stopped time. It started like any other day, clear skies, perfect weather. But at 8:46 a.m., American Airlines Flight 11 struck the North Tower of the World Trade Center. At first, people thought it was a tragic accident. Then at 9:03 a.m., United Airlines 175 hit the South Tower. That's when the world realized this wasn't an accident. The United States of America was under attack.
At 9:37 a.m., another plane struck at the Pentagon. And then at 9:59 a.m., the South Tower collapsed. Later, 29 minutes after that, the North Tower followed. By 10:03 a.m., Flight 93 crashed into Pennsylvania after passengers fought back. In less than 2 hours, two of the tallest buildings in the world were gone. Thousands of firefighters, police officers, and civilians were caught in the devastation. Flight 93 passengers learned about the other attacks through phone calls. They made a decision to fight back.
Their action caused the plane to crash in Shanksville, Pennsylvania, saving countless lives. Those words, "Let's roll," became a symbol of courage that day.
The 19 hijackers were linked to Al Qaeda under Osama bin Laden. Their targets symbolized American power, military, economy, and government.
And by mid-morning, America was under the deadliest attack in its history. When the towers fell, the entire nation froze. Air travel was shut down. The nation was silent, grieving, watching, searching.
In New York, Ground Zero became the center of rescue efforts.
President W. Bush stood on the ruins days later and said, "I can hear from you. The rest of the world hears you. And the people who knocked these buildings down will hear all of us soon."
That moment sparked the War on Terror and the invasion of Afghanistan. Weeks later, a conflict that would shape decades. 9/11 didn't just change New York, it changed everything: airport security, surveillance, foreign policy, even architecture. The Department of Homeland Security and TSA were created. Cockpit doors were reinforced, and security screenings became standard worldwide.
Even pop culture shifted. Movies avoided showing the Twin Towers. Songs and art reflected grief and unity.
Before the attacks, terrorism was listed number 5 in the priority list. Also, in domestic flights, short-bladed knives were allowed.
Also, in the decades of the 60s and the 70s, it was normal that planes were hijacked in exchange for money. The person would hijack the plane, ask for X amount of money in negotiations with the government, and walk out. That's why the ATC didn't pay too much attention to the call until the bomb was mentioned.
Globally, the attacks reshaped how countries saw terrorism and alliance. It was the start of a new era, one defined by vigilance and loss. There's one part of 9/11 that still sparks debate: World Trade Center Building 7. It wasn't hit by a plane, yet it collapsed at 5:20 p.m.
A very heated topic on the internet. According to official data, Building 7 collapsed due to an internal fire that weakened the internal structure of the building, causing it to collapse from the inside to the outside.
The official government investigation led by the National Institute of Standards and Technology blamed uncontrolled fires and burned for hours. Videos show the World Trade Center Building 7 dropping straight down symmetrically at free fall speed for over 2 seconds. Something never seen in fire-related collapses. There's one part of 9/11 that still sparks debate. World Trade Center Building 7. It wasn't hit by a plane, yet it collapsed around 5:20 p.m.
A very heated topic on the internet. According to official data, Building 7 collapsed due to an internal fire that weakened the internal structure of the building, causing it to collapse from the inside to the outside.
The official government investigation led by the National Institute of Standards and Technology blamed uncontrolled fires that burned for hours. Videos showed World Trade Center Building 7 dropping straight down symmetrically at free-fall speed for over 2 seconds. Something never seen in fire-related collapses. There's where the phrase, jet fuel can't melt steel beams, became one of the most well-known claims surrounding the 9/11.
This theory suggests that the fires caused by jet fuel during the attacks were not hot enough to melt the steel structure.
The theory often points to the difference between burning temperature. Jet fuel burns around 800 to 1,500 degrees Fahrenheit, and steel melts up to 2,750 degrees Fahrenheit. A University of Alaska Fairbanks study found fire couldn't cause the observed collapse. In an article from Richard Gage, he does a full structure analysis of Building 7 and stand out some sketchy things.
First, he points out the beams that were damaged, and those ones were the front ones instead of the middle ones. This is important because in the form of the building fall is straight, like if all the middle beams failed. Later, he compares other buildings that were exposed to a fire and burned for a much longer time and didn't fall. That is because buildings typically don't fall because of fires.
Thirdly, the amount of steel that was supporting the building was too much for it to fail. We're talking about over 40,000 tons of steel, and the building just failed and fell.
Another theory was the beams of of both towers. When a building falls, because it has been damaged, the beams of the structure tend to break with a little bit of angle, but on the top it's all curved up, the steel, and damaged. Here, the towers were cut in a 45-degree angle, and it was looking like if it was previously cut here, here, and there.
Beyond the numbers and headlines were voices, the people who live it, like Brian Clark. He escaped from the 84th floor of the South Tower after helping a trapped stranger.
Also, the passengers on Flight 93, Mark Bingham and Todd Beamer, and so many others who called their families to say goodbye before fighting back.
Then there's Lisa Jefferson, the operator who took Beamer's call.
She stayed on the line until the very end, saying, "I will never forget that voice, calm, brave, and certain."
Alan Wallace, a Vietnam veteran and a firefighter, had an accident near the Pentagon. Minutes later, he witnesses how a Boeing 757 traveling at 500 miles per hour hit the Pentagon.
Without thinking it twice, using his war experience, Alan rushed to help people escape the building that was being consumed by the fire.
After that, Alan grabbed a breathing apparatus, lantern, and fire extinguisher from his crashed truck. He entered the building, screaming and searching for more people to save. That caused him first and second degree burns and a neck injury due to the first explosion of the aircraft.
Amid all that chaos came stories of heroism.
Firefighters climbed floor after floor carrying 60 pounds of gear, knowing they might not come back.
Paramedics treating victims in toxic dust, civilians forming human chains to guide others to safety, and of course, the passengers of Flight 93, who were ordinary people who made an extraordinary choice.
Even years later, survivors and first responders continue to battle health issues from the dust, a reminder that the impact of that day still echoes.
Even though it didn't happen, Two F-15 pilots were searching for Flight 93, and because they were training, they didn't have guns or ammunition on their planes. If Flight 93 would still be flying, these two brave pilots would crash into the aircraft, sacrificing their own lives to give others another opportunity of life. Today, at Ground Zero, two massive reflecting pools stand where the towers once rose. Each name, nearly 3,000 names, engraved in bronze.
Every year on September 11, twin beams of light shine into the sky. They tribute in light, a symbol of loss but also resilience.
The 9/11 Memorial and Museum keeps those stories alive, not just of tragedy, but of humanity and unity.
For many, 9/11 is not history, it's memory. It's where they lost someone or where their life's direction changed forever.
And that's what we carry forward, the voices of those who refuse to let fear be the final word. 9/11 showed us both the worst and the best of humanity in one day. Hate brought the towers down, but courage, compassion, and unity lifted people up.
More than 2 decades later, we still ask the same question about safety, about faith, about how to make sense of it all. This is a story of 9/11. It's not just the tragedy, but the courage, unity, and resilience that followed. Because even when the sky fell silent, human voices, human kindness refused to fade.